Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm happy you could all join us this evening. My name is Shahiwa Jarrett Gillen, and I'm the president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. And I want to start off this evening by saying Happy Black History Month. We are extremely proud to start this month off by having a special guest, as you all are gathered here to hear from tonight. But I also wanted to make sure we paid homage to the past. Yes, we have people who are currently making Black history, but we also want to look back and recognize those who came before us. And as a chamber, it's very fitting that we look back at our Black businesses that made an impact, and were some of the firsts in this area. So we're going to start off with a short video that kind of does that, that takes us back to um, the beginnings of Black business here in Broward County. Marcellus Sterling Collins Sr. was born into an enterprising family on June 7, 1919. He and his brothers were raised in Dania, Florida, and continued the legacy started by his parents, Richard and Leola Collins. In 1923, his father and mother owned and operated Collins Grocery, the first grocery store in Westside Dania. His parents were pioneering members of the Mount Zion AME Church, and his mother, an advocate for education and health care for blacks, helped found Providence Hospital in 1938. Collins Elementary School was named in her honor. Marcellus received his early education at Dania Liberia School, later renamed Addicts. He and his brothers renamed their parents' original store as the Collins Brothers Food Center in 1952. Soon afterwards, they opened stores in Fort Lauderdale, Golden Heights, and Miami. Marcellus Collins was also a prominent civic leader. He served as the president of the Negro Chamber of Commerce. He was a founder of the Dania Housing Authority, and he also served as a trustee for Providence Hospital. Marcellus also founded Victory Marketing Associates to help local grocers organize and combine their collective purchasing power. In 1962, Collins founded the South Broward Federal Credit Union, one of the first Black-owned credit unions in Florida. We salute Marcellus Sterling Collins Sr. This piece of Broward Black business history was brought to you by the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce and Comerica Bank. Okay, yay! I think it's important to go back and celebrate our history, but it's just as important to look to our current history makers. And so tonight, we have the honor of having Mr. Harold Pryor Esquire, who is the Broward County State Attorney. I want to introduce you properly before we get started. Mr. Harold F. Pryor was elected as the Broward State Attorney in November 2020. He leads a staff of 462 employees, including 213 prosecutors, whose mission is to make our community safer while working to ensure justice, equity, and fairness for everyone affected by our criminal justice system. He is the first Black state attorney in Broward and the first Black man to be elected state attorney in Florida. Please, we got to do a hand clap for that. I'm not finished with the bio, but we have to do a hand clap for that. Now, just to give you a little bit of information about his background, Mr. Pryor is a fifth generation Floridian. He is married to an attorney who happens to be a member of our chamber too, and they have a beautiful young son. He attended and graduated from the University of Florida with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. His legal career includes experience as a prosecutor, a civil attorney in private practice, and as a corporate lawyer, so he's well rounded. Just to give you an idea of some of his civic engagement, he is a past president of the historic TJ Reddick Bar Association, which is Broward County's Black Bar Association. His passions include mentoring young people and attorneys. So without further ado, please welcome virtually Mr. Harold Pryor, one of our current Broward Black History Makers. Well, welcome, Harold. It's wonderful to have you here with us tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, I wanted to obviously we look back in our first segment in our video, but then we have to come to present day and celebrate some of the firsts that we're still experiencing, right? Even in 2020 and 2021. And I'm happy you were able to join us because we want to find out a little bit about you, personally, a little bit about what you plan to do in the future, with your first term of many more to come, and then kind of understand how procurement or some buying works in your office. So I want you to tell us a bit about how you grew up, where you're from, and how that history will inform how you will carry out your duties as state attorney.
Well, thank you for having me, Shahid. Thank you so much. Thank you to members of the Broward Black Chamber. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my wife, who's on here. She doesn't have a video on because she has a 3-year-old son, and that's always been a constant theme in our household for the last year and a half. With the 3-year-old son who has an opinion of his own, and he thinks he's a grown man, and so Nikki has always held us down, both financially, both spiritually, and also with our son during these trying times and running for office, an important office. And so it wasn't an easy task. It never was. Nikki is a talented attorney in her own right. I always say it, and it is the truth. She is probably the best attorney in our household. And she wears many hats as a wife, as a professional, and leader. And so I have to pay homage to her and thank her for all that she do and all that she will continue to do for us. But my background, what shapes me, I grew up in a rough neighborhood in a small town, which is, it's kind of weird when you say that, but I did. There was remnants of segregation. The high school that I went to, it wasn't desegregated until the 1970s. And so if you do the math, we all know Brown versus Board of Education was decided in 1954. And we know that those reforms were so slowly initiated in the South. And it wasn't much different in Northern Florida, where I grew up. I often say to people in Northern Florida or some parts of Central Florida, it's either Alabama or Georgia. You just take your pick. It's different. It's not Disney World. It's not South Florida. It's not as diverse. And so I grew up in that type of environment. It was different in the sense that I had family members and close friends who struggled with drug addiction issues, who had mental health issues. We saw a criminal justice system not really give them the tools or give them the resources that they needed to turn themselves around. I actually believe that the criminal justice system is ill-equipped to handle many of the issues that we want to place upon these offices. We want a state attorney to be the end all and know all for everything. And quite frankly, I don't have all the answers and I don't have enough resources to give the people the help that they need. But my goal is to try with what I have the best I can. And so that's the downside of the criminal justice system. We often put the people that we feel that are less than as a society, we throw them in the criminal justice system. They fall victim to that vicious cycle and their lives are forever changed, and it creates generational issues that are hard to break and often takes generations to break. And so I experienced that. I had family members and friends who were brutally murdered. I also saw a criminal justice system treat them less than or differently because they were Black or because they had mental health issues or because they had a drug addiction issue. And so that's had a profound effect on my life, Shahiwa, in the sense that I didn't see many people that looked like me as law enforcement officers or state attorneys. And so it was a goal of mine to be a prosecutor, to bring that balance. Oftentimes, I was happy, I was proud to be in the room to help make final decisions when I was a prosecutor, because oftentimes many of the prosecutors couldn't identify with the people that they were making these decisions for. That could be a matter of life or death, or could change their life for the worse. And so I want to bring that even-handed approach to the criminal justice system. I'll be the first to tell you this criminal justice system is not perfect, but also I'll tell you that we have to balance it. We have to have reforms. I don't think you can be a sheriff or a state attorney or even a public defender, because there are public defenders who represent people that look like us that don't care about us. I don't think you can have a position of power in these particular areas of expertise if you fundamentally don't believe or understand that we have a criminal justice system that has been traditionally stacked against people of color and poor folk. And so, if you understand that, I think we can start to reform the system. But I have to caution everyone: we have to do it safely. My goal is to reform the system, but ensure that we have safer communities in the process. And I think we could do that. I don't think reform and safer communities are mutually exclusive concepts. I think we can achieve both, and I look forward to that challenge. And my life experience, my background, inform who I am. Someone asked me, how does your experience inform your decision making, or how does it influence your position as state attorney? And I said, quite honestly, a lot. My experience as a Black man in America has brought me to this point and has motivated me to run for this office and to serve in this position, because I think I look at it from a different lens and I bring a different perspective. And I look forward to the challenges that we have ahead.
Okay. No, thank you for that, Harold. Let me follow up with which I think you kind of answer, but I'll let you focus in a little bit. Why did you decide to run for Broward County State Attorney, and what considerations did you take into account in making that decision?
Well, I can go a lot more in depth in that as well. One of my heroes has always been my father and my grandfather, and um, a leader that's always inspired my grandfather, who actually knew him, who actually marched with him, was Martin Luther King. And one of Martin Luther King's favorite quotes, or one of my favorite Martin Luther King quotes, is, "Life's most persistent and urgent questions is, what are you doing for others?" And so, looking at my life a couple years back, I graduated from law school. I had a nice job. My wife and I were moving in that trajectory where we were getting to a point where we were living comfortably. But then I see the deaths of Trayvon Martin. I see the Tamir Rices. I see the Ahmaud Arbery's, the George Floyd's, and Breonna Taylor's in the world. I had to ask myself, and I had to do a gut check. Harold, what are you doing? What are you doing with your skill sets, your talents, your God-given ability, and the blessings that God has bestowed upon you? What are you doing to enrich or make someone else's life around you better? And so when I looked around, I saw that I wasn't doing enough. Some people could look at me at that point and say, "Hey, you're president of TJ Rated Bar Association, which is an active bar association. It was never an association that was seen as a social club for attorneys. There was an activism aspect of the association. It still is, where we do more than many other bar associations around the state, because many people in the community traditionally have looked to the TJ Rated Bar Association to lead in important issues in the community." And some might look at that and say, "Well, you're president of that association. That's enough. You're doing more than enough." But for me personally, when I was self-evaluating myself and my abilities and what I could do, I didn't think I was doing enough. And so I saw the opportunity to run for state attorney, given my life background, what I spoke about earlier, and seeing how the criminal justice system can negatively affect people's lives. But we need more people like us, and to actually be on that side to help make these decisions to ensure safety. For me, it was an easy decision. Once you really sit down, you meditate, you pray, reflect, spoke with Nikisha, my wife, and really did some soul searching, and I ultimately came to the belief that this was the right thing for right now. There were plenty of obstacles ahead. I was told by many people, "You're too young." Well, if everybody hadn't noticed, I'm 34 years old, and so a lot of people told me, "Harold, you're too young. Wait your turn. You're too progressive." Some people said I wasn't progressive enough. Many people said I wouldn't raise enough money to even put up a formidable campaign. Well, we did that. We overcame the backing. One of my candidates was backed by a billionaire. We overcame that. I had a candidate that was the heir apparent, or the Broward Democratic establishment's candidate, who people thought he was going to run away at the race, and we came out on top. And that came from a lot of prayer, a lot of hard work, and us really truly believing that we knew that we got in this race for the right reasons, and it's a lot of hard work and perseverance. Our mantra going in was that we would not allow anyone to outwork us. And it was true. No one outworked us in this race. And also we would block out the noise, and that's what we did. Oh, this person is backed by this billionaire. This person has this many endorsements. But our goal was to block out the noise, work hard, and stay connected to the people. And we were connected to the people that ultimately came out and voted. So that was the reasoning why I got into the race, and ultimately how we got to this point, because we truly believe we're in it for the right reasons, and I really look forward to the challenges that we have ahead of us.
Okay. Well, then, if you can, tell me what your top priorities for your first term of many are. What are you going to focus on? Because as you said, there's a lot to correct or to adjust in the criminal justice system. So what are your top priorities?
Well, Ashia, the reason why I laughed because I have to be careful. Nikki's on the line, and I have to approach Nikki each term. so, so
Uh-oh, my bad.
no, but I'll say my first priority is to ensure that there's fairness and justice. Right? What does that mean? First, every case considered by my office, we're going to consider fairly. No one will be advantaged or disadvantaged because of their demography, their geography, or their socioeconomic status. My goal is to look at each case equitably, to treat every case just and fairly. Justice to me is not a guilty verdict, or a win. I never saw it like that. It always bothered me. My goal is to seek justice, and sometimes justice is a guilty verdict and someone going to prison. And sometimes justice is dropping a case and not sending someone to prison. And so my goal is ultimately to do the right thing, to seek the truth. A next priority is to invest in people, invest in our state attorneys, ensure that they have adequate resources to do their job, that they have the training, that we give them the training so they can exercise discretion to do the right thing. To not, as my friend Sandra, who's an attorney, the kid who goes into someone's yard and takes a mango, and then you file charges against that child, right? To use your common sense and give them the resources to do the right thing and not feel like they have to go up the ladder or keep a case going because I have a hard line law and order approach. But also invest in our victims, to ensure that the first time that they see our office or have interactions with our office, it's not in a courtroom or if you're the victim of a crime. My goal is to have our prosecutors invest in their communities, invest in children, to be involved in the schools, to go to career days, but also go to read for the record days and volunteer, and to have our faces seen so people know us before they have to interact with us in the courtroom if they're either a victim or defendant. But also my goal as state attorney, as we take this office, is to ensure that we have a system that is just a system that we invest in creating opportunities for our communities to interact with the various stakeholders. For example, law enforcement, to interact with the judiciary, to interact with the court system, so they understand that this is a court system that is for them, for the people. So here's some things that we're doing right now with the state attorney's office. My number one priority with the state attorney's office is to get our budget in order. Before I took office, I was informed, I was briefed that because of the global pandemic, and obviously we always knew this, that the governor had issued a 6.3% holdback for governmental entities. And so every quarter they were holding back about 6.3%. Initially started at 6% and it moved to 6.3%. And so that our budget took a hit. We have a $40 million budget. Of our budget, about 95% of that budget goes to salary and the rest goes to everything else to run your office. And so we took a hit, and we were faced with the possibility of having nearly a $3 million budget deficit. We've been able to dwindle that down. And I truly believe by July 1st, we will have balanced our budget and we may have a surplus. And so we will be able to have an opportunity to issue raises to our support staff and attorneys. I initially on day one, we took a lot of steps to make some cuts, and to do some things to ensure that we had enough money in our reserve to actually run the office, but also keep our community safe. The next priority right now immediately is the jail population. the jail population has crept up right back above 80%. So I believe somewhere it's around the number of 85% capacity. And that's bad given a global pandemic. And so right now I'm in the process, my office, we've reached out to the public defender, we reached out to defense attorneys, and we're reviewing the cases, and we're working to actually make reasonable offers to try to get some of these people out to lower the jail population. Our main priority is those low level offenses, right? And then also those people that may have violated probation, and then, you know, some people violate for some technical violation, something they didn't report, or they had a dirty urine. And so my goal is to try to plead those cases out, and we get those people out. I have to tell you this though, there are some serious violent nature crimes that are in there, and those are people that we probably wouldn't let out under any circumstance. But we're working hard to try to lower that jail population, and the people that probably don't need to be in there, we're trying to work hard to come to resolutions on those cases to actually get them out. So that's a main priority of mine. I want to thank Gordon Weeks, our public defender, for having an open line of communication, as well as the chief judge and Sheriff Tony. And so we're taking steps to lower that jail population, so we don't have a major outbreak within the jail population. We are reforming our mental health diversion program. I'm extremely happy and proud about that. Traditionally, our mental health diversion programs, or our mental health court system, our mental health court system has been adversarial in nature. And our goal is to move away from that and make it more therapeutic, which was its original intent. And finally, and then I'll let you go into your next point, next question, which I'm really excited about. Today, we inform law enforcement agencies, the judiciary, and a public defender, and some members of the media, that we have announced our new misdemeanor possession of cannabis and drug paraphernalia policy. We are now seeking a non-judicial, non-criminal alternative to those particular crimes. We are encouraging law enforcement agencies, sheriffs, and local police agencies around the county to issue civil citations, or to send those possession of cannabis, those misdemeanor possession of cannabis cases, to their diversion programs. We'll no longer be filing those cases. But I have to say now, if you had a felony level, we're still filing those cases. So, but that's our new policy. We felt that it was due to the resources or the lack thereof. It costs a lot of money to test marijuana for each occurrence and for trial, if they do go to trial, or if there's an evidentiary hearing. It's costly both for the state attorney's office, but it's also costly for the law enforcement agencies. And so now the law enforcement agencies in my office, we now can focus our resources on more serious crimes, more trafficking. I think trafficking is a major issue than just minor possession of cannabis cases. So that's the first step in some of our reforms. We announced that today. It is going to free up a lot of resources for our law enforcement agencies and the state attorney's office. And I think it's an exciting new move for our office and for our prosecutors, because now our prosecutors will have a lot more free time to actually focus on those serious offenses that really affect our communities.
Lovely. You got right on the job. You won that election, and you had to get right in there. I love this. Very detailed plans. I want to, and obviously I can't skip this. This is a Black Chamber event, right?
Yeah.
So we have businesses that obviously are interested in opportunities, whether it be you have an event once we get back to, quote unquote normal, and your catering events or whatever the case may be. But I'm always focused on, government spending,
Yeah.
and how that spending can be diversified, especially with Black businesses, because disparity study after disparity study always shows that we come at the bottom, right? So can you please give an example of services or products your office purchases, and explain if you have plans to make the spending of your office more diverse and inclusive of Black businesses?
Most definitely. That is my priority. It's one of my priorities with the limited amount of resources that I have. And so, for example, like I said earlier, we have about a $40 million budget. We're going to be close to that based on the new allocation from the state legislature. All our money comes from the state legislature. We are blessed to have a county that provides us with resources. They take care pretty much of our technology. They provide the space where we house our offices. But there's opportunities with regards to technology, internet, our phone service. I am in the process of looking into generating a deal with a minority-owned telecommunications company. My goal is to give that company an opportunity to actually have a government contract and for us to operate through a minority-owned business, a Black-owned business. And so we're in the process of looking into that and finalizing that. But so for example, like I said, we have a $40 million budget or near that. 95 to 96% of our budget goes to salaries. We have about 462 employees, about 200 plus, a little bit more, 213 attorneys. And so it really costs a lot with reference to salary to keep that office going and make sure we have talent in that office. So then you have that remaining the remaining 4 to 5% that goes to actually the day-to-day of running the office, equipment, supplies, and et cetera. So my goal is any opportunity that we have with that remaining 5 or 6%, to give minority businesses and Black-owned businesses an opportunity to have work in Broward County, but also interact with the state attorney's office on a business level. And so I'm excited with that opportunity and providing that opportunity to our Black-owned businesses in Broward County.
That's really cool, and seems like a wonderful opportunity for that telecom company that you're going to be working with. And I appreciate your candor in saying that you're looking for ways to make sure you're being inclusive, because sometimes we have to fight against the grain.
Well, it's troubling. It's an observation I've always had. When you look at Broward County, it's almost a third with regards to the racial dynamics. Nearly 30% are Black, another 30% are Hispanic, and then the rest are Caucasian brothers and sisters or breakup thereof. And you often find a disparity, right, in the level of contracts that are being issued to governmental entities. Look, I was on the private side not too long ago, only a few months ago. And, I had an opportunity to be in the space, and I was in the telecom space. And in the telecom space, there weren't many Black faces there. But the reason why those Black faces weren't given an opportunity didn't mean that they were there, just they weren't given the face time. And that's sad, given that we're in Broward County with the numbers that we have, the number of constitutional officers that we have, constitutional officers of color. So I would hope that turns. I would hope that changes. And I need members of this organization. I need you, Shahil, which I know you will. I need you to hold all of us, all of the constitutional officers accountable, to ensure that we do follow through with that, because we have an amazing opportunity here to offer opportunities to so many Black-owned businesses. And there are so many Black-owned businesses right here in Broward County. And, there's those Facebook groups that you see with, Black-owned businesses. And it's great to see that. And it's great to see organizations like this, where we all can come together and network and share ideas, because I think we have all the answers here. We have all the answers right here through the Broward Black Chamber. And I think everyone should use that. And I plan to utilize this network in any way that I can when procurement opportunities occur for the state attorney's office.
Thank you. And I invite you to do that. We get requests, and I got an RFP today from an organization saying, hey, do you have this? And so we welcome that. It's like, we want to be that repository and that connector, absolutely, to help you diversify.
Can I mention something? I see Miss Grant. Miss Grant is on here. Miss Grant, we came to know each other on the campaign trail. She was working hard, and it's great to see her on here. And she ran a hell of a campaign. And gained a lot of respect for me, not only me, but just the Broward County community as a whole. And I hope this isn't her last time running for office, because I think she can enhance many people's lives here in Broward County for the better. So it's great to see her on here. I had to give her a shout out.
Nice. Thank you for that. I'm just reading some of the comments in the chat saying, hey, great news, Harold. I guess they're listen to the great points that you are making. Someone asked if there are competitive contracts coming up for bidding, and we'll stay in contact with you. So who's appointed in your office, so we can get those opportunities, and we're sure to announce those opportunities. I want to ask one last question that I didn't really prep you on, but it's an easy one. You saw the video that we kind of started with where we highlighted someone who, started Black credit union, Black grocery store, sat on the board of the first Black hospital, all these firsts.
Yeah.
And we had to tell that story so that generations to come will remember the first and all the strides that have been made. And it's really crazy sitting here because we're living it, right? So I don't know if it doesn't seem that big of a deal as you live it, but literally, Harold, that will be you. That will be you. People will be talking about you as the first Black, state attorney here in Broward County, which is a big deal because of the prior state attorney was in there for, I don't know, 47 years.
Yeah.
And then the first Black male elected to this position. So that will be you. Those stories will be told about your life, where you come from, what you did in office, about your family. So I just want you to kind of take a moment to share with us in this Black History Month what it means to be a Black history maker, what it means to be that first. How do you feel? What does it feel like? What does it
It
mean to you?
it doesn't even feel real. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you're in the middle of it and you're focused on the task at hand, you really don't. You're not focused about that. I will say I have sat down and thought about it. Just based on I'm big on history. I'm big on understanding your roots. And look, you said it in my bio. I'm a fifth generation Floridian. There's been five generations of prior men and women here in the state of Florida. So the racial inequities, the blood, sweat, and tears are in my DNA. It's ingrained in my DNA. For example, I think back on my grandfather who was a civil rights activist. He was involved in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and he was one of the members here in Florida during the height of the civil rights era. And I remember hearing stories from when he was a teenager and the Groveland 4 incident. And we grew up in about a town about an hour, 45 minutes away from there. And we had family members there after all of that happened. And we had family members hearing his story who had ran from Groveland because of what had happened. And they were in fear of their lives. They thought that the KKK was in law enforcement, aided by law enforcement, would actually burn down the town. And so they came over to the neighboring town to get shelter from my grandfather, hearing those stories of him seeing crosses burn in his yard and being called a boy and having to walk off the sidewalk if a white person was on the sidewalk. Hearing those stories and hearing the stories of his father and hearing the stories of his grandfather before him. It's particularly special for me to be able to honor my grandfather and my ancestors' legacy. And being the first Black male state attorney in history of the state of Florida, but not only that, in Broward County. It's humbling. I've always said that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm standing on the shoulders of the Eula Johnsons, the NAACP president, Alcee Hastings, who is a mentor of mine, and one of the reasons why I got in, and he was an early supporter. T.J. Reddick, many of the pioneers, George Allen, who, was one of the first to graduate from the University of Florida, my alma mater. And I remember hearing stories of some of the things that he went through. Raleigh Rawls, many of those men and women I've had an opportunity to talk to and have an opportunity to just get information from. And it was extremely humbling for me to get a call from Congressman Hastings the day after the election and just hearing the passion, hearing the emotion in his voice, because he's one of those who was there when desegregation was still a thing, and to hear the pride in his voice. And honestly, I left that conversation. I hung up the phone, just thinking to myself, Harold, you better not F this up, right? Because there were so many other people, and I say this all the time. There's so many other people that were much more experienced and probably more deserving of this position than me. And for God to bless me with the opportunity to be here and to do that, I see it as a great opportunity. And my goal is to not let my ancestors down, but also not to let any of you down. And to ensure that I do this thing the right way, to do it with integrity. And so I'm blessed, and I'm honored to be here. And you know, look, we have a long road ahead. We have about 3 more years to go. And I look forward to giving it all, giving it my best. And I encourage each and every one of you to please hold me accountable, but also please lift me up in your prayers. Lift me and my family up in your prayers. If you have any ideas, if there's anything that you think that I can do or that our office can do to better the criminal justice system, I'm open to any suggestions or any ideas, because we have an opportunity to really do something special here in Broward County, especially with the pieces that we have in place, the men and women we have in place at leadership roles. So it's an exciting time, but I ask that each and every one of you bear with me, have patience, know that I'm doing this for the right reasons, and you know, look, it took about 200 plus years to really oppress us, 400 plus years to oppress us, and it's going to take more than 4 years to turn that around. But I'm beginning to step so we can continue that for future generations. So maybe our sons and daughters can then continue on the legacy and build on the building blocks that we're putting in place right now.
Yeah, I love that, Harold. Very focused, and I'm hearing it from this chat here. We are getting thanks from Dr. Gregory Salter. Says thanks for your leadership. Connecting with the community, especially law enforcement, is key. If I can be of any assistance, please let me know.
Thank you.
Narnique says, Harold will be in the history books. Definitely, you will be. And Melissa Presser says, looking forward to working with you. And someone says, giving you your flowers today, sir. And Sandra Schiffer says, amen, brother. Anyone has any anyone has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat or mute yourself. But I just wanted to ask you that, because obviously it can be so overwhelming. You kind of go numb and don't even understand what you're experiencing. You just know, oh God, I won. And you just start, in the process. But I think for me, in the chamber, we want to make sure that we reach out, we support, the newly electeds and the firsts that we have in Broward County here, and to see how we can work together to make sure that there is diversity and there is inclusion in contracting, and in moving the community forward in general. So I appreciate you being here with us and sharing your story. I'm happy that you kicked off our Black History Month as our Broward Black History Maker, having won your election last year. I obviously wish you and your wife and your son and your growing family the best. This is a special time for you guys, and we will continue to lift you up in our prayers and stay in touch. And yes, about holding you accountable, but supporting you and working together. Really, partnering is what it really is about. So thank you so much, Harold, for being here. I'm gonna roll into a couple of announcements. And if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. Harold will stay on for a little bit so we can get any questions that you may have. I do see a question here, Harold. Sandra says, I have a question about post-conviction relief on misdemeanor marijuana cases, given the new policy. How will those motions be handled?
Well, post-conviction release, I have to tell you, I mean, we'll look at it, but to be honest with you, my term only deals with cases that have been filed that are pending. And so if the case is pending, we'll deal with those. Once we open back up, we're open to looking at ways to how we can incorporate those people into the sealing and expungement workshop, which I think is a great tool. So if those individuals are eligible to have their record sealed or expunged, I would be happy to have my office assist them in that. But that's the very nature of having a new person in office. That's tough. That's a tough thing. That's an unfortunate situation. But this policy only regarding standalone misdemeanor possession of cannabis and drug paraphernalia cases. And that's for any pending cases or cases that have been considered or are being filed right now, which we aren't filing those right now.
Okay, perfect. So I think that answers your question, Sandra. So she says, thank you.
and she has my phone number. We can talk and we can talk through it a little bit further. You know, she knows she has my ear, and we can talk about it. But you know, she has my number.
Yeah, this comment I'm going to read very hesitantly because I'm not very happy about this comment. This
Uh-oh.
"Go Gators" by two people in this chat.
Go Gators all day, every
"Go
day.
Gators" by Patrick Chariots. You know, I'm not feeling that, but I just want to give you that shout out there from your people in Gator Nation there. Okay, so I'm gonna roll into oh, you know what? And here goes Quentin. One more. Go Gator. Wait till I see you, Quentin. just stick around for 2 seconds here. I'm gonna do a couple announcements and see if anybody else has any more questions.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say something, but I'm just going to go into a couple announcements for our members, and this is even for just community members in general. We have I want to send a reminder, we have Masks for Members program. We got a generous donation. We've been handing them out most of last year. We're going to continue to do that as the different strains come up, COVID virus strains come up. So please contact us. Even if you're not a member, you can contact us at our info@Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce.com email and set up a time to come pick up some masks. We want you to be safe. We still have our Venture Mentor programming going on. If you're a member of the chamber and you want to mentor for 2021, please email me and let me know. We have access to past executives of Macy's and other large Fortune 500 companies that want to help with marketing, legal, etc. So if you need the help and you're a member of the chamber, email us. We've been sending out that email often, and some members have already taken advantage of the program, and you should as well. And lastly, we're launching, it's so funny that we're talking about government spending with a little bit at the end anyway with Harold, because we are launching a new platform that will enable our members to search for government contracts. So we'll be able to know how much a government agency spends in total. If you have a specific line of business that you're interested in, you can look up your competitors, you can look up pricing. This is an extremely expensive tool, but one, you know, that we thought was important enough to purchase so that our members could have access to it, to close that information gap so that you can be competitive when going after these government contracts. You can pull down templates from past proposals and winning proposals. So if you're interested in that, we'll be having a information session and we'll be emailing you shortly about that as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back and see if we have any more questions because that's it for my little announcements. You Gators are unbelievable. I got another one. Go Gators. And Tasha, right? I hope I said that right. Says, I'm so proud of you. And Narneet Grant has a question. She says, Harold, do you have any community committees in your office?
Yeah, so we are. Thank you. So we are planning to roll those out in March. Really, the first month was me just fixing morale issues, coming up with policies. But the goal is to have community-based task force and committees. And so, for example, we're going to have a LGBTQ task force. We're going to have a task force surrounding racial equality or just equity in the criminal justice system. Also, we're going to have a committee on hate crimes. That's going to include our brothers from the Jewish communities and many other communities that are targeted. Also, our immigrant communities that are targeted. So yes, and we plan to announce these. They'll be announced. We'll provide a link online where members of the community can join our committees. It'll be a committee with some of our prosecutors in the office. So you're interacting with us and we're talking about some of these issues and you're keeping us abreast of what's going on in the community. And also we're keeping you abreast as to what's going on in the community. My goal is to have our prosecutors not only just come to work and treat it as a 8 to 6, 8 to 7 job, to actually get involved in their community. For example, there's a point in time while I was a prosecutor, I lived in Lauderdale Lakes, and on my own free time, I would go to commission meetings. I would go to committee meetings. and just show my face. And then I would often use that as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm Harold Pryor. I'm assistant state attorney. I can't talk on behalf of the office, but if you have any issues, please let me know and I'll bring it back to my office. Well, my goal is to make that an actual thing. I want our prosecutors to be connected in the communities that they live in, and I want them to serve as a resource to the community, but also I want the community to provide information to them to bring back to us as well. And so that's a goal in changing the face and how we deal with our communities. I don't want anyone here for the first time that you see me or hear my name or see any of my prosecutors, it's in a courtroom. I want you to see us involved in the community out front. So I truly look forward to that because we can really change the narrative, but also we can really redefine or reimagine what safety actually is.
I love that. So Narnique says, thank you and keep me posted. And of course, if, when you make any of these announcements, Hero, we'll be more than happy to push that out there for you as well. Derek Oliver says, proud of all you have achieved. Can you tell us what we can do locally to push the needle?
Well, continue. So I think some of the things that, thank you for that question, Mr. Oliver. Just really just being willing to speak out and really help us in pushing the narrative. Look, we've dealt with years, centuries of what violent crime is or what safety is, right? For far too long, safety meant putting away anyone that commits a crime, right? Irrespective if they have a mental health issue or drug addiction issue. So each and every one of you here plays a role in helping to change the narrative and helping us reimagine what safety is and how we want our communities to be policed. And so that's how you can do it. It's just really helping us and being involved in these committees, coming to forums like these, getting in contact with us and letting us know what you want, letting us know how we can keep or enhance your experience here and keep you safe. But also, I need each and every one of you to encourage your friends and family members to serve on juries. We can't change it unless we get, I often hear, well, let's just take it to trial and we'll leave it to a jury of their peers. Well, oftentimes, the jury that's decided my life, a matter of life or death, or whether my liberty or whether I'm going to serve time in prison, they aren't necessarily my peers or they look like me or understand my experience or have shared experiences. So look, I know we're in a global pandemic, everyone. I know that these are scary times, but soon, very soon, we're going to start opening these courthouses up. So I need each and every one of you, if you get your subpoena to come to jury service, jury duty, please do not ignore it. Come. We have invested a lot of money, time, man and woman power, both through the clerk's office, the judiciary, the state attorney's office, to ensure that these rooms, these courthouses are adequately equipped to keep you safe in the event that you serve on a jury. They're going to be outfitted with plexiglass. You'll be separated. You'll be in spacious rooms. These cases will affect someone's life, whether it be a defendant or whether it be a victim, someone who's been harmed by a person, and someone that's looking for justice. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you, if you get your subpoena to do jury duty, please come and serve on a jury, because we are truly affecting someone's liberty, and we need a jury of someone's peers that actually reflects them, that actually understands the circumstances that are in. Because I've always said, I don't care who my juror is. I just want someone that could be fair and impartial. I don't care about their color. We all are going to hold our own accountable, and we're going to do it the right way. If the facts are there and the evidence there, we're going to hold them accountable. That's my standpoint as a prosecutor. And so I've never been afraid to pick a jury of my own or pick a jury of someone's peers, because I think if you can be fair and impartial, the right outcome is going to happen. So please, I implore each and every one of you, please report to jury duty. The precautions have been taken. You'll be safe. We'll make sure that you have all the resources and equipment that you need to ensure that it's properly sanitized, and encourage your family members to do the same, because this is going to be an important and crucial time, because we're going to need enough jurors to actually ensure that the criminal justice system is fair and just in under these circumstances.
Nice. Thank you, Harold. So Tricia said, excellent point on public education about the importance of jury service. And she also added that she's happy to hear about the community-based task force, and that the Caribbean American community would love to be involved in these committees. So I'm sure you got a lot of support and a lot of people that want to get involved. So that's great. And I think we got one more Go Gator by Ali V, and I'm done for the night. I'm done. I'm not reading any more of those. I'm not reading any more of those in the chat, okay? Anyhow, I promised that this would be kind of like a power hour, and we're coming to the end of our time. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for joining us, Harold. Once again, I wish you the best of luck. Once again, we're here to support and work and partner with you. And congratulations again on, making Black history in essence. Thank you all tonight for joining us to hear from a little bit about Harold, a little about what he plans on doing and how he wants you all to get involved in the office and creating a more fair, equitable, and just society for all of us living here in Broward County. So thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night. Good night. Cool. All right.